I was cruising Instagram just before I was going to start recording, and I noticed that one of my best friends and favorite teammates that I ever played with just got the call to the big leagues. Actually, playing in his first big league game right now. Today is Monday, May 26th. He is playing his first big league game. His name is John Rave. I met John in 2022 when I first signed with the Royals, and he had started the year in Double A. I started in High A, so I didn't get to know him that well during spring training. And then midway through the year, I got called up to Double A. So I go to Double A, and we were teammates. I wouldn't say we were friends at that point. And then spring training comes around, and when we started the year back in Double A, it would have been in 23. We just got a lot closer. Also, we really formed a bond through John lost his father as well. John lost his father, I think, during college. Lost my father during high school. And so we bonded over the single moms charity that I was working with. And actually, oddly enough, the Royals had a ton of guys who had lost fathers. And so the single moms charity came on very strong with a lot of my Royals teammates and really bonded us in a much deeper way than just playing together, of course, could have. And so from there, John and I became good friends and brothers. And so we played together during the 23 season, and halfway through, John got the call up to AAA. I went up to AAA with maybe like the last month, a little less to go in the season. And so we connected back up there, and then just really stayed close ever since then. I think anyone that's ever played professionally and you start bouncing around to all these different teams, you recognize that like all your teammates are your brothers for sure, but then you start to really come in contact with people who like you deeply share a connection with, and that's so beautiful. That's one of the most beautiful parts about playing professional sports. That's one of the most beautiful parts about life is just finding those people that you connect with on such a deep, organic level. And I had some other places that I wanted to start the show, and then I was just cruising Instagram, and I saw that John, I got the call, and it's something that we had talked about quite a bit over the past like year and a half or two, because he went up to AAA at the end of what would have been 23. Did pretty well, and then the 24 season, he won AAA Player of the Year for the Royals. And, those thoughts start to creep in organically as far as like, dang, when is my time? Am I ever going to get the call up to the big leagues? This and that, especially when he went back this year. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but those are just natural thoughts for anyone that plays at that high of a level and plays that well. Those thoughts are going to creep in, and I think we're such good friends because we stay so honest with one another. And so whenever we talked, it just seemed to come back to like, let's get back into the present moment and focus on what you can control right now. And obviously he took care of business, and the timing is never wrong. And so his opportunity today against the Cincinnati Reds on May 26th is absolutely beautiful. And so congrats to John on making your major league debut. You're right where you knew you were going to be, right where you need to be, and right where you are. And I just think that's so cool. That, man, just brings like the biggest smile to my face when someone that you consider like a brother achieves a lifelong dream, and you live that dream together while you're in professional baseball, and then to see it come true for him is just so cool. I mean, there's no better feeling. What an uplift to the day. I mean, the day was already fantastic as it is, and now you see this, and it's like, man, that's just amazing. Just amazing. And this is just the very beginning of the journey of this new chapter. It's like turning the page and he's on a new chapter. Same book, new chapter. And man, I think maybe that just leads us right back into the wheel of where we're headed. Maybe before we keep going, we can just take a second to take a breath. And as we take this breath, maybe we can just bring our attention to the genuine love for others. So as we, inhale, exhale, just think about all the people in your life that you care so deeply for and want to see succeed and achieve their dreams, and that you've intertwined with on this organic human experience. One more through the nose, out, settling in, and yeah, allow me to take your ears for a cruise here as we keep going on a thought experiment. I mean, I could do 35 minutes on how happy I am for John Rave, but we'll come back to that, I'm sure, many times as he continues on this amazing journey. Dang, congrats to John. That brings us to the word of the week, which is affinity. It's a noun, and the definition of affinity is a natural liking for or identification with someone or something. It could also be a similarity of characteristics, suggesting a relationship, especially a resemblance in structure. And the last option of definition is actually maybe my favorite. In chemistry, the degree to which a substance tends to combine with another. And, bringing it back, the natural liking for or identification with someone or something. And that just fits so perfectly with John Rave getting his call to the show. And it's like, the natural liking for or identification with someone. I mean, when you have friends in your life, oftentimes it's so organic and so natural. And I think we all can recognize when we get out of our own self a little bit and begin to change ourselves in order to maybe fit into um, a perception that we've made up for other people. And the best friends or relationships that you have, at least that I have, are just the most organic. And so, I think about, John, uh, just such an organic friendship. And it wasn't like I came up to double A in 2023 and just wanted to be friends right away. That's just not the pace at which our relationship was going to move. And when you allow things to happen organically, you just slowly start to joke as teammates, whatever. And then I didn't even know his father had passed away until much later. And when I started working with the charity, I think we just got talking, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, absolutely, I want to be a part of this." And actually, in 2023, so maybe I misspoke. When I came up to AA in 2022, we hadn't become friends, but regardless, after the 2023 season, we had raised over $5,000 for the single moms charity, Helping Hands for Single Moms, based in Phoenix, Arizona. Uh, and that just brings people so close. And that was the natural event, that took place. And it's a similarity of characteristics, a similarity in not having a father present in your life right now at this moment. And that suggests the relationship that we carry now and that we'll carry for the rest of our lives. I consider John to be someone that I'll be friends with for the rest of my life. And not one of those, that brings you to the best friends that you don't need to like talk with every day. I probably annoy John because I text John all the time, and sometimes he doesn't reply. But regardless, I hope he's seeing him because I think I text him cool stuff, just little innuendos here and there. But regardless, John texts me back. a resemblance in structure. So you can think of the structure as being like baseball players drafted out of college. You start looking at all these resemblances, and then the big one being, raised by a single mother. Like, dang, okay, that's really going to bond people together. And all the guys that worked with the single moms charity that year, Jake Means, Anthony Veneziano, we're able to raise so much money for Helping Hands for Single Moms. And um, when you're working with a charity, I knew we were doing something cool for other people, and we were impacting the lives of others in a positive way. And then I had the chance to go to the Helping Hands for Single Moms charity event in person in December of 2023. And it was there where Kevin Durant's mom spoke, and a lot of women spoke who went through the Helping Hands for Single Moms charities program. Now, Helping Hands for Single Moms, they put single moms through college, and there's a lot of requirements that come with that in terms of GPA requirements, course requirements, to keep the moms on track. They're just not handing out money, and that's one of the things that I found so cool about this charity. And so seeing the moms speak who had graduated college, and you're creating generational change. And looking at that, hearing their stories, super emotional for one. And then for two, you see like, oh man, all this money we raised, now I'm seeing the people in person that it is impacting. And that's just such a special, fun, cool feeling. And has been one of the most rewarding endeavors that I've pursued. And that's come about through, professional baseball. Having this skill that leads you to so many different avenues that you just have no idea where it's going to lead you. But it's natural. It's always natural. It's a natural occurrence. Whether it's the different opportunities, whether it's friendships, relationships, natural meaning it's felt in the body, and you allow your mind to relax. The natural feeling of just like connecting with others. And I actually watched. I'm back in Seattle right now. Had a family obligation this week that I needed to come back for. So you may notice the audio might sound a little different or different environment if you care to watch on YouTube. So on the way back, I watched Forrest Gump for the first time. Never seen the movie. And, initial thoughts, I can see why it's one of the best movies ever. Just a fantastic feel-good movie. And it's simplicity. It's simplicity in the fact that everything he does is just right in front of him. And, when he's running across the country, back and forth, people are asking, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It's like, because I felt like it, because I want to. It's like the most natural inclination to do anything, he felt it and he did it. And that's when I was watching the movie and like watching his progression through life, he just always listened to his gut and just allowed the universe to guide him without forcing of anything. It was always just simple. What was in front of him is what he did. And maybe everyone carries that take from the movie, but I had never seen it. I don't know why. Maybe because I knew it was a long movie and I knew I needed to sit down and really invest. But I was going through the movie options on the plane, and finally it came up, and I was like, well, now's the time. So I watched it, and that's just what I got from it, was the absolute simplicity in which he does everything. And the universe rewards effort. When you continually have dynamic persistence towards something, the universe will provide you with what you need. It will reward you. And that reward will come in any shape and size. It might not be it might not even be the thing that you're working towards, but in its actuality, in its precision, like for so long I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, and now I've seen how baseball, the effort that I put towards baseball has impacted so many things that I do uh, in life in such a positive manner. And it's brought me out to Germany to play, allowed me to meet people like John Rave from all across the world who I'm close with. I think about baseball when I drive across the country. I normally never have to get a hotel because wherever I'm at in the country, I normally know someone that I can stay with. Now, maybe not when I'm in South Dakota. I don't think I know anyone there, but I'm not usually driving through South Dakota, so that doesn't seem to be an issue. But I found the word affinity and Forrest Gump to be very intertwined in the sense that natural. Natural was the word I took from the whole definition of affinity. And as I relate natural, it just means being felt in the body. And to me, when I watched that movie, everything he did was just felt. He just did what was in front of him and think. He didn't think. I mean, that's in the simplest form. He didn't think. That's just so beautiful. And I guess on the basis of thinking, we can go towards the observation of the week. And I've been through plenty of airports in my day, plenty of airports. And every airport has a prayer room or meditation room. I've never been in one. And as I was walking through the Munich airport, I guess you could say I just had an affinity to I towards this meditation room. I saw it and I was like, man, I got time to kill. Okay. And I was just curious. So I went in there, and the energy in a room like that is so clean. As I walked in, there was a woman meditating and a man praying. And I set my things down, and there was a meditation cushion, and I sat there for like 40 minutes and just did some breathing and meditating. But it was just a natural like want to go in there. So interesting. Like why? Who knows? Never need to break it down to why. You just do. Kind of like Forrest Gump, just did. And the observation one was the feeling of the space that I was in this airport or in this meditation room. And then as I left, uh, there was a book at the front, and the book was just like it was like when you go to a wedding and there's I don't know what it's called, a sign-in book. Everyone signs, congrats, this and that, or some little blurb about what they know about the bride and groom or whatever it may be. There was a book like that at the front, and so I wrote a little excerpt, and then I went through and I read some of the other ones, and like I don't know how. I mean, they're probably 150, 200 pages filled from people all across the world, all brought to this meditation and prayer room. And, in a meditation and prayer room, like it's such a positive, congruent flow of energy, kind of like a church, very much like a church. And so the positivity as I read through this book was just like so cool, so cool. That now it makes me like, dang, when I go to the airport on Wednesday to fly back to Germany, I will go. Now that just becomes a part of your routine. Like, I don't need to sit by the gate. I'd rather just sit in this room and meditate. And then I don't care if there's a book or not, but like the energy that's felt in that room is so vibrant and clean and positive and of such a high frequency that that's what it's about. For me, at least, that's 100% what it's about. And that environment of the meditation and prayer room, very much leads into the question that I asked last week, which was, what is your favorite type of environment to curate for others? Curate was the word from last week. And I came to the answer of any space where people can think and speak openly. For I think a lot of the world is in this space where we think a lot of things and we don't say a lot of what we think. And I think that causes a lot of tension amongst people, groups, whatever it may be. In my opinion, if people just spoke more openly about how they truly felt or what they truly thought without being worried about how it's going to impact the other person, we would find that a lot of people can take the truth a lot better than we think. And I don't know where that stems from, but at least for me, I've always tried to be someone that just speaks my mind or acts upon my mind. And, you know, it goes to the Dr. Seuss quote of those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter. You know, you speak the truth. It's going to let you know uh, where the other person stands. And so when I think of my favorite type of environment to curate for others is an environment where everyone's allowed to speak openly and think openly. Like we're not on the basis of right or wrong or agreeing with. We don't need to agree with anything. The basis is purely like understanding. You know, you make a point. Oh, I can understand where that person's coming from based off of where they grew up, how they grew up, the education that they had, the people that they're around, all those things. And when you look at it from that lens, that's my favorite type of environments. And so when I think of how I create those environments for others, it's just one, being open and honest myself. And then you just use little cues, like you allow people to settle into the space, whether that's through the lighting, through the music, through food, um, through all of those external things to allow people to settle in and realize, oh man, I can like really let whatever guard it is, I can let it down. And these people are open to listening to, you know, whatever it is that I have. And that's absolutely my favorite type of environments. And it brought me back to, you know, I did this yoga teacher training that was 10 weeks long in the falls around by Core Power, which was really, really well done. And now I'm a certified yoga teacher, which I put into use for my own personal life and for the people that I work with. And I see it continuing to expand as I, you know, move forward one moment at a time. But regardless, every time we came into this space as a yoga group, we met 3 times a week for about 3 hours. And every time we came in, some weekends were long. Some weekends we did like 7-hour days twice in a row. A lot of yoga. A lot of yoga. Regardless, every time we came in, we would do a breathing practice to bring everyone somewhat into the same frequency you could use, but you know, we're all coming from, think about it. If we see each other on Monday and we come together on Wednesday and we've lived 48 hours totally separated from one another, dealing with our own happiness, sadness, whatever emotions it may be, whatever events might have taken place, and then we come back into this room and we're just expected to hit the ground running. That's impossible. And it really taught me about how to start to create an environment where people can speak and think clearly by using the breath to kind of bring everyone back down to neutral. And you know, that's done through so many different practices, Om practices, uh, sound bowl therapy, lining up the breath through coherent breathing, resonance breathing, partner meditations. All of these things allowed the group to come together. And man, at the end of 10 weeks, it was like so cool to feel how close everyone had come to one another on an emotional level. And it was, I mean, it's an experience I'll draw from for the rest of my life. And I am right now in terms of creating an environment. I think if you can create an environment with, even if it's one other person, and let's take 3 deep breaths together and just, that's what we do on this thought experiment. We can all just take a second, inhale, fill up, exhale. Now we're oscillating, on a frequency that's a little closer to one another. Maybe we're a little more open-minded towards what another person has, or maybe you're more open-minded to what I have right now, which isn't much left because that kind of brings us towards the end of this episode. What a freaking awesome day. John Rave, man, that is the coolest thing. Oh man, one of the guys I have been the closest to in pro ball in my experience, and that is just so cool. So cool. I hope he is up there enjoying every second of it, because dang, wow. How amazing is that? The fulfillment of a dream that has taken, you know, maybe he started playing when he was, say, 6 years old, 21 years of effort. And what do we know? We know that the universe rewards effort, dynamic persistence. John Rave. Hell yeah. Fortitude vincimus. By endurance we conquer. The endurance of effort. Man, so amazing. Just goes to show that dynamic persistence, the universe will reward you. So congratulations to John Rave. What a special, special day it is for him and his family. Uh, Man, just so awesome. So awesome. I know he's getting flooded with messages, so John, you don't have to you don't have to reply right now, but you gotta reply at some point. That's all right. We'll get to that later. That leads us to the question for next week on a little deeper level, actually. Something I had been really toying with. Maybe we'll get a little philosophical next week rather than talking about Forrest Gump, which that's a philosophical movie if you want to take it there. But I think the fun part is realizing that we can think as deeply as we want about anything, and then just realizing that the only thing that matters is right in front of us right now. It's me holding this spatula with a mic attached to it and saying some words into a camera, which I find fun. And so, the question that will finish this episode is, where does intuition come from? One more time. Where does intuition come from? And that concludes this episode of A Thought Experiment.